Today's episode of the Just Keep Swimming podcast is brought to you by Audible. Audible is an online audiobook and podcast service offering over 10,000 books and the ability to listen to your favorite podcasts, including the Just Keep Swimming podcast. I personally use Audible all the time and suggest you take a listen to Intentional Living by John C. Maxwell. In this book, Mr. Maxwell shares a story on how he was able to live a noble and purposeful life and gives you tips and tricks so you can do the same. So please start your 30-day free trial now at www.audibletrial.com/JKS podcast, all lowercase. Again, that is www.audibletrial.com/JKS podcast. And if you have any more questions or concerns for the Just Keep Swimming podcast, you're always welcome to reach out to us on Facebook or on Instagram at Just Keep Swimming _podcast, or you can email us at jkspodcast702@gmail.com. And with that out the way, let's dive into it. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to the Just Keep Swimming podcast. This is your friend, your boy, your host, Mr. Adrian Jackson, and we back at it again with another great episode for you. And you already know who's with me. It's the man, the myth, the legend. It's Mr. 1-3, dropping hot beats for the city as always. So please make sure you guys check out his latest projects. And I know he's been feeling a little under the weather recently, so let's try to send some prayers his way so he can feel better and get back to the podcast soon. But today, ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk about drawing a blank. So if you guys are like me, definitely a lot of my creative people out there, there's plenty of times in life where you just draw a blank and you don't even know what to do next. You know, like you don't know what to create next, what your next project should be, what your next task may be, or you know what's next on the to-do list of what you need to do, because there's so much going on and it's kind of hard to just focus on what you need to focus on, you know. So today I kind of want to share 3 tips for you guys who are drawing blanks and how to, you know, recover and get back to what you need to be doing. Definitely when it comes to being more creative or just, you know, getting yourself back to wherever you need to be in life to grow yourself, you know. So the first tip of advice I have for you guys is to pause and don't force it. So sometimes when you draw a blank, it's often because we are trying too hard to force an idea. And that's something that I know happens with me all the time with the podcast. Like I'll try to find some little itty bitty saying or something and try to figure out how to make a whole episode off of that saying alone. But then sometimes if I don't write it down, the thought will leave me. So now I have to come up with a new idea, but then the idea may come, but I may not like it, or, you know, I don't feel like it's the best one that I can use for this episode or whatever the case may be. And it's like, I just keep drawing blanks, you know? So one thing I learned to do for sure when I'm drawing blanks is just to stop for a moment, sit down, maybe focus on something else for a while, you know, cook a meal, go take a walk, take a nap, even if you got to do that, you know, watch some TV, try to get some ideas that way. There's so many ideas in this world and we have to just learn how to, you know, pull our creativity from our everyday life. So, you know, if you do feel that feeling of drawing a blank, just take a deep breath, relax, don't force it, you know, maybe find something else that you can do right now as you let the thoughts marinate, you know, go wash some dishes, fold the clothes up, you know, work on another project, you know, file some paperwork. And as you're doing things like that, hopefully the ideas will start to flow and you can start to unclog that little, you know, unclog the drain so you can start to get back to your ideas, you know. Second mindset for drawing a blank is always to go back to your purpose. When you run out of ideas, connecting with something you do, something you always do, or something that you really want to do is going to help spark new ideas and new angles. So, for example, yes, when I'm drawing a blank, I always have to go back to the main purpose of the podcast. And it's like, what am I really trying to do here? I'm trying to share some information, help you guys out in life, help you guys keep swimming in life with a little bit of information or ideas that I have with some of the readings and books. Sometimes I go back to my purpose of just reading books and, bringing in more knowledge into my mind. That right there really does help me get my mind flowing as well, But never forget your purpose. Always remember the purpose of the task that you're going through. I like how a lot of companies, sometimes you see them trying to do new promotions and stuff, and sometimes they're going way out their wheelhouse, or they're going I don't want to say off track, but it kind of seems like they're not on the same page of what they're trying to actually promote. So one thing you always have to do is stop and go back to the basics and be like, okay, what is our main goals for this organization? Our main goals are A, B, and C. Okay, does this idea, does this promotion meet these goals? If it doesn't meet these goals, then we probably should pull back. That happened with me at work all the time. Like at work, there's sometimes I'll be talking to students, and as I'm talking to them, sometimes I just get hit with a blank. Like I just blank out. I have no idea what I was about to say, or I was about to say something, but they're still talking. So, I want to be respectful and listen, but then I lose my idea by the time it comes back around. Excuse me. So what I would usually do is I might stop and be like, okay. And then I'll refresh the conversation what we're just having. Okay, so you applied for here, you already did your FAFSA, but you're waiting for your mom to do this, and you also send in your ACT scores. Okay, so the next step is actually scholarships. And then now I'm back on the ball because I stopped for a second, I redid my purpose and started to go over my steps again of what we were doing, the reason I called you out of class, or the reason you came to come see me, and then get back to what we're doing, Even with this weekend with my grandma, shout out my grandma. It's her birthday today. Happy birthday, grandma. So glad to see 88. So glad to see you for another year. But we had a lot of family over there, and you know how family can get sometimes. Definitely when there's cooking, there's drinking, smoking involved, you kind of get distracted and forget what's going on. But one thing we all had to do at some point was to stop and remember, we're here for grandma's birthday. Let's go in here and sing happy birthday, and then we can get back to the game of dominoes or whatever we're doing, So that's what everybody, the whole house did. Everybody stopped, sang happy birthday to her, showed her some love, let her feel the love that she needs to feel, because, everybody's young, they moving around, walking around, seeing their cousins, their favorite auntie, whatever the case may be. And sometimes you forget the purpose of the event that you're at. So it's like, okay, let's stop, go back, remember the purpose of what we're doing, and then we can move forward a lot smoother. And that's something that really helps. So, if you are drawing a blank, let's stop and go back and remember the purpose. What was the reason for this painting again? What am I trying to get across? Even watching the show Next Level Chef, one of the coaches, she always talks about, okay, what is this meal coming from? And I think that's her way of always telling the chefs that, go back to the core of the meal. You start off with the idea that this is going to be an Italian meal, but your ingredients may not be working the way you want to, and you may start cooking something that isn't truly Italian. So you may want to stop yourself and is this an Italian meal still, or am I veering off? The main goal is to make an Italian meal, so let me focus on the Italian meal, or even the cooking shows. A lot of times you see people, they get so caught up in trying to make all these amazing sides, and they forget that the main thing on the plate is the steak, and the steak is overcooked or is raw. And it's like, no, you forgot your purpose. The main purpose was cook a good steak. Everything else was a bonus, So never forget your purpose. Let's make sure that we focus on our purpose. Let's make sure that we learn to pause, take a break so we don't force it. And last but not least, let's ask some questions, That's one thing that I do for myself a lot of times when coming to a podcast episode. The question is how am I feeling right now? What am I going through? What happened recently that I can use as good motivation? What happened over this past week or this weekend or the last few hours? I always have to sit here and ask myself, what is something that I learned this week? What is something that I learned and I can apply and I can share with my amazing listeners out there? What is this? What is that? It just makes me question. Even with Mr. 13, when he comes over and we record together, I sometimes just stop and ask him, man, bro, I don't have nothing in mind, but what do you have in mind? How you feeling? What happened to you this week? How'd that make you feel? And then based off the questions, usually the ideas start to come as you ask more and more questions. I actually had to do that with a student today because, she didn't know what she wanted to do at college. And she was like, yeah, I kind of fell off. She kind of paused herself because she didn't know what she was wanting to do. So, I had to ask her okay, what's the purpose of going to school? Like, what's the main reason you want to go to school? Like, you know, is it a certain major you want to go to? Is there a certain type of lifestyle you want to feel? And it turned out that the reason she wants to go to college is to get out the state, and she's trying to go to New York with her brother because he goes up there now. She wants to feel that experience. I'm like, okay, that's good then. So it's like, let's not focus on Nevada colleges because you're trying to get to New York. Let's figure out how to get to NYC. Yes, we can have Nevada as backup, but let's figure out how to get you here, you know? But if I never asked those questions, I don't think her thoughts would have really started to roll, and she wouldn't really remembered her purpose and had the moment to really calm down and figure out what's going on, because you know how students are. Life is always crazy for them. And sometimes they need to come to my classroom and I give them that moment to pause for a second, take a deep breath. I understand life is crazy, but let's focus on the future right now. You know, everything that's happening right now, let's let it go. You know, we're going to get through this. This shall pass, but let's focus on the future, because that's the main reason I called you into this room. The purpose of you being in this room is to figure out what you want to do with your future. So let's focus on the future. I'm going to ask you as many questions as possible to help you think. Like this one student, he wants to be a physical therapist and he loves sports. I'm like, have you thought about sports medicine? Oh man, mister, I haven't. I'm like, okay, there we go. So let's go ahead and get that ball rolling, do some research on that side, and really start to sit down and think about what you want to do, you know, where you want to be. Even ask yourself, yo, John, where do you want to be at in 10 years? What type of sports medicine doctor do you see yourself as? And, you know, we have to really stop and ask ourselves questions, because we don't ask ourselves questions, we can't give ourselves answers. We're just answering stuff with no questions, and that's just throwing out information, and that's not what we want to do. We want to make sure that everything is purposeful, you know? But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that helped you guys out today. Yeah, it's been a crazy week for everybody, but you know, we're gonna keep swimming, we're gonna keep doing what we can, we're gonna keep fighting, we're gonna keep pushing forward, and we're gonna trust that everything's gonna work out in our favor no matter what, you know. So, you know, if you are out there drawing that blank because all this craziness in the world, you know, let's stop. Let's take a break. Let's take a deep breath. Let's remember our purpose. And let's start to ask the questions that we need to get our minds flowing back in the right direction, you know. And I promise you, it is plausible. I'm doing it right now as I speak this message. Like, I had to stop and ask myself, how am I feeling recently? And the question was, I'm drawing a blank. And it was like, how can I tell you right by episode about drawing a blank? And boom, here we are. And now you got another episode for the week. So just like that. But yes, with all that being said, I hope you guys have a great day, a marvelous afternoon, a splendid evening, and remember to just keep swimming.